Now, I don't know if we have to address this now. I think it's probably at the end of the phone call, but I have a little issue with the both of you from something that you both said the other day. I don't know if we deal with that now.
We'll get to that at the end.
All right.
I don't even know what it is, so yeah, let's just wait to the end.
I just every day I listen to this show, I just know I gotta get. When do I get back there? When do I
get it rolling?
Somebody needs to just lasso you guys in.
It usually is an issue. Yes,
exactly. Well, I guess my first big question here, Spike, is: have the Knicks lost a game since you decided you were leaving New York?
Yeah, man. I'm a bad vibe. I agree to come back to Philly. The Eagles go however many, 1-6 to wrap up the season.
Yep.
And Joel Embiid is the good vibes of the Sixers season is over, and then the Knicks win every single game, no matter who they're playing or who is on their team or who's injured, who isn't. It's not a great sign, actually.
Well, and the worst part is they're doing with all Philly guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the Villanova squad up there.
Know how to win.
Yeah. Well, that's not Philly, though, in fairness.
Yep, I agree.
Touche.
It's essentially Lancaster. Yep.
Yep.
All right. What's your reaction to everything that's going on with Joel Embiid?
I think it's just kind of a bummer. I go through different phases where I'm angry and then I'm frustrated and I'm confused, but ultimately I just keep coming back to the fact that regardless of how it happened or why it happened, here we are again in the middle of the season when we think things were going well and there's some injury, which, by the way, even previous to this MRI, he had missed several games with a knee injury that they never specified what it was. It just said knee swelling. Mm-hmm. That's all. That's not an injury. That's a symptom. You look at every other injury they describe. Every other injury is an injury, right? Robert Covington has a bone bruise, and D'Anthony Melton has a lumbar spine stress response, and Nick Batum has a hamstring issue. We don't know what Embiid's issue is, but all that said, here we are again, and it happens again, and you want to be mad at him, but it's not his fault he's hurt, right? Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of it, I just sit here wondering, is there ever, what are the odds that there's ever going to be a year where we get through it and then we get through all the playoffs and through all of that, an entire NBA regular season, and the playoffs, which, by the way, if you go all the way to the finals, is pretty long. It's a lot of games.
Yep.
What are the odds that really it's ever going to happen one year where he gets through all of it? And it seems like very low. Imagine you have a car, and every day you can drive the car to work, and the car gets you to work and back. But every summer you try to drive it 4.5 hours away to vacation, and every summer you drive it 4.5 hours away to vacation. It doesn't make it. It breaks down every time. And it's like, this is now 8 years, and I just
probably time for a new car.
Well, I don't want him to go, and I want him to do it here. But I keep thinking, regardless of what this MRI says, whatever this knee issue is, will be there in April, May, and June. Yep. There's no doubt. It's not going away. So I keep getting depressed because I just can't imagine that we're going to get through a year in a playoffs where this works.
Yeah, you sound like sort of like I do, and even the feeling sort of feels the same. It's you almost you've given up. Or I don't want to speak for you, but I know I'm in this grieving phase right now where I've given up the hope that we're going to win a title, and I may as well just enjoy him when he does play. I don't know how many games he's going to play. Don't know how many he has left in him. But the idea of pinning my hopes on winning an NBA championship, man, I don't feel it. I don't feel it, man. I don't feel it, and it's because of this right now. It's because of where we are right now and the point you just made that regardless of the results of the MRI, this is going to be a lingering thing, and it's going to prevent us or prevent him from being at his best in April and May.
Yeah, because whatever it is some sort of chronic thing that's always going to be there. And maybe if he sat for, people talk about missed this game or that game. Maybe if he sat for 6 months, whatever it was would heal up. But right. Sometimes I think the only way that it would work is if and I don't wish an injury upon anybody, but if for some reason he was injured and missed the first 45 games of his season.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he came in, and for some reason he was peaking in the spring, maybe, but that's the sort of sort of chance that we're going to need for it to happen. And the other thing I would say on this is, and this is less of an issue, but there was an article in The Athletic today from Sam Amick that he said that people within the Sixers organization think that the only reason that Embiid played was because of the reaction of him not playing in Denver. Like, you guys got to grow up. And I mean, meaning the organization, blaming fans and the media. First of all, one reason why everybody had that reaction is because the guy was not on the injury report. And as close as 1 hour to the game time, they were leaking to everybody that he was playing. You know, Tim Bontemps was reporting that he was playing. Ramona Shelburne everybody was saying he's playing. He wasn't on the injury report. On top of that, at no time during this entire thing have they said what his injury is. So if they had said, hey, the guy has a torn meniscus in his knee and that's why he's not playing, people wouldn't be freaking out and saying that he's dodging, Jokic. That's on them. And if you think also that the guy is only playing because of Twitter reaction, then maybe you should sit down with him and tell him to stop looking at Twitter. Like, I just, to blame the media and the fans for their reaction, that should not control what you do. It should not control what he does. And I think that is pretty small. I understand they're in a frustrating position right now, but I think it's pretty small of them to blame the reaction to the Denver game when, in a lot of ways, they were responsible for that reaction.
Do you think the 65 game rule thing is nonsense? What's your thoughts on that with the NBA rule?
I think it's one of two things. Either you give them a rule and they have to live up to it, or voters are going to make up their own rules. And they're going to decide how many games is enough games. And then we get in the same exact fight. Because if you have the same exact player, scores the exact same amount of points, team is exactly the same as successful, and one player played 80 games and the other player played 50 games, then the player who played 80 games should get a vote. So I guess what they're trying to do is take the ambiguity out of it. I don't care, honestly, I think the rule is fine for awards. I do think the rule all NBA being connected to your contract, and then the voting having a determination of how much money you make, I think that's pretty silly. I think that the owners should be able to give the players, if the owner wants to spend too much money on a player who wasn't all NBA, have at it. It's your salary cap to have to deal with. I don't care. So that part of it I don't care about. I rather the awards part I don't care about. I just hate that the awards are tied to their salary.
You know why that is? Because they know the players. That's what they care about, the money.
The money, yeah.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, them sitting has as much to do with the teams as it does the players. A lot of times these teams are sitting players to try to gain an advantage later on in the season, and that's what they're doing. That's why when people say, we'll make it a 68-game season rather than an 82-game season, aside from the financial impact, then whoever's playing 68 games, if you only play 50, you're still going to have an advantage over the players who had to play the entire 68. So I think you're dealing with the same issue. So the entire culture around it in the NBA is bad. I don't want to hear that 82 games is too many, where 20 years ago people were playing 82 games and flying on worse planes and with worse nutrition and worse medical treatment, all that kind of stuff. You can play 82 games. They've decided that is in their best interest to not do it. So,
what do you think about how last night was handled? Him playing, what he looked like out there playing. We're obviously waiting on this MRI. It could be a much worse injury than it was going into the game. But what were your thoughts on last night?
You know what's crazy? So I woke up. I didn't watch the game. The game was on too late. So I'm too old to be staying up until 12:30 at night to watch a basketball game. So I got up really early this morning. I watch it. And before I watch it, I see all the reaction. How are they letting Embiid out there like this? And I figured he must have looked terrible. He honestly, we've seen Joel look like that before 100 other times. To me, if he was missing shots, if he had made those jumpers, I don't know if I would have noticed the difference, to be honest with you. He wasn't he wasn't quite as springy as he was in the beginning of the year, but they played 40 games. I guess I just feel like I've seen Joel look like that a lot of times. And then Kuminga rolling up on his knee, that could have happened if he was totally healthy. So I don't know. I didn't have a problem with him playing. And if it's really just pain tolerance, everybody's saying that they should sit him down. I don't know. He's the one who has to tell them whether he can play or not. If it's not a diagnosable injury, if he doesn't have a broken bone, if there's not a tear somewhere, it's really just on him. So I didn't have a problem with it. I don't know what you thought, but I was watching it this morning, and he looked mostly normal to me.
No, I had the exact same feeling that you had, and even watching it, I saw the first half. Once I knew that he was playing, I wanted to at least check him out to see what he looked like going up against Golden State. And I honestly thought it was maybe a little fatigue, a little rust, a little stamina issue. He hadn't played in a few games, and Nick Nurse said I think it's been 5 days since he had any basketball activity going up and down the court other than just in a half-court workout. I thought it was more of that. That's just sort of the way and maybe it's the former athlete in me. I'm almost conditioned that, hell, if you get out there and you play, I'm not sitting here looking at you as if you're injured and you shouldn't be out there playing. Like, if you decide to play, then you decide to play.
Yeah, either you're playing or you're not playing.
Yeah.
And there were because I was watching for it, and there were a ton of times where he was running full speed down the court. I didn't really see any limp. He wasn't quite as aggressive on defense as he has been this year, but we've seen plenty of games where he's not like that. So
it was the play where he tried to take off for a rebound and he fell on the ground without anybody touching him.
Now that one to me looked like he was avoiding because the guy was going up to lay the ball up. Okay. So to me, it looked to me like he was diving out of the way to avoid the collision and not foul a guy, because he right after that rebound he was back in the game playing like normal right after that instance. So I don't know. I'm not going to just trust them boldly. Like, I'm not just going to say the Sixers medical staff knows exactly what they're doing. I mean, we've had several issues. I don't think they've earned that benefit of the doubt. But I also, if I'm being honest, when I was watching that game, he did not look strikingly to me like he was in pain or shouldn't have been out there. And I've seen that before. We've all seen that before, but that's not what it looked like to me.
Did yesterday change how Daryl Morey should go to the trade deadline? I mean, it's next Thursday. Does he need to go get a legit difference maker, or is it still at a fringe piece?
And we're assuming that Embiid is going to play again this year, right?
Yeah, not done for the year.
I guess I thought it was fringe piece, but I don't know. If they're going to have to get through 3 games in a playoff series without him, they don't have enough right now. And a fringe piece does not make that sort of difference. I don't know. I would wait. I would still, I think all things considered, I think all in this summer gets you more than all in at the deadline does. And if I'm going to go all in one time, if I'm going to take every pick I have and use every bit of cap space I have, I think I would rather do it this summer when I have more and I can get more than I would this year.
All right, last one before we get to what we did wrong.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. We've been big on the hypothetical train on this show the last 2 days.
Yeah.
If you could only trade for one at this deadline, and this is you personally, you can only trade for one, LeBron James or Jimmy Butler, who would you rather the Sixers trade for?
This is going to shock you, and this will shock anyone who has followed what I've said over the years. Without question, 10 times out of 10, 100%, Jimmy Butler.
Yes, I knew it.
Stop.
Yes.
How are we supposed to take you seriously as a basketball authority in this city?
LeBron James is a vibes vulture.
I told you.
He sucks the life out of everything. Jack,
he also wins all the time.
Okay, why don't we talk about winning, Jack? Okay, let's talk about winning.
What does Jimmy Butler want?
Let's talk about the last 5 years. Who has had more success in the playoffs?
LeBron beat Jimmy Butler for a title. He went to the Western Conference Finals.
That's a fake title. That's not a real championship.
Everyone else says it was the hardest one to win of them all.
No, LeBron said that.
All you need to do, Jack, to look at how legitimate that title was and the effectiveness of LeBron right now is look at every other year he's been in Los Angeles. Every other year. Miss the playoffs. Lose in the first round. Miss the playoffs. Even last year when everybody thought it was some big celebration, they were in the play-in, Jack. They were like a 7 seed or an 8 seed.
It doesn't matter till the lights get brighter. That's when LeBron shines. It's the same with your boy Butler, your boy.
That title at Disney World. Here are the facts about that title. I want you to forget everything you know about that season. And if I came up to you and I said, Jack, an NBA team won a title, but they gave everybody 4 months off before the playoffs, and there were no road games, and there were no fans in the stands, and it was played at Disney World. Would you tell me that was a real title?
Well, it sounds like a perfect setup for Embiid.
It's actually a good point.
It does, man.
It's actually a really good point. You got me on that one. I would rather have Jimmy. Give me Jimmy.
Give me Jimmy. Wow, is that going to be your new hashtag?
Yeah, give me Jimmy.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Bring him home. All right,
Philadelphia's own.
All right, what did we do wrong?
Okay, so I'm listening to the show the other day. This is for anybody who wasn't listening. And somehow you guys got on something pop culture related.
Oh, God.
And there are 3 things I need to lay out for you guys. The first thing is Ike.
Yes.
I love you, man, but we're about the same age.
Uh-huh.
And the quote, did Jane Fonda play Bo Derek? I'm in my car waiting to get in the Holland Tunnel. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Bo Derek is a person. She was in 10. We all had the poster.
Yes.
What do you?
It was in my head. I put it. It all got jumbled up in my head, man.
Did Jane Fonda play Bo Derek?
Seems like a fair question.
And then Jack murders Jane Fonda.
She had to go.
And then Jack is unaware, or at least acting like he's unaware, that 21 Jump Street was a television series with Holly Robinson Peete and Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh, he was totally unaware. He was totally unaware.
21 Jump Street with Channing Tatum? What are you, 12?
Yes.
Zoomer? Go check TikTok or something.
I'm anti-TikTok.
The adults need to have a conversation around here, man.
Oh, man.
All right. Well,
listen, I actually did. I know. Hold on. I actually deserve to be ridiculed about the Bo Derek thing. It made sense to me afterwards, after I had to think about it for a second. By the way, certainly got text by several of our colleagues around the city who were listening at the time. They were also embarrassed, too, for me. So, yes. I can't even – I don't even have an excuse for that one.
Yeah, well, you hit this age, the memory starts to go a little bit.
Well, he did. He left his phone. He thought he left his phone in the car yesterday, Spike, and it was in his back pocket. So,
yeah, that's what you got. Falling apart there, man.
That's what you got to work with when you get here. Yes. A
lot of work to be done.
A lot of work to be done. All right, Spike. Appreciate the time, and we'll see you down here eventually.
One of these days.
One of these days. All right, see you.
All right,
brother.
There he goes, Spike Eskin.
Yeah. Yeah, I got several text messages about that.
Oh, yeah.
The Bo Derek,
yeah,
Jane Fonda thing.
I thought it was off.
You didn't know anything.
Well, Bo Derek, you
probably thought that was a damn quarterback or somebody.
So I thought it was a cartoon character.
I knew you know.
I thought it was a cartoon character. But then when you said Tommy Boy, I was in lockstep with you.
Yeah, she was in Tommy Boy.
She was in Tommy Boy.
That's Bo Derek, yes.
Great
film.
The
movie was 10. As in she was a perfect 10.
Hold on. Francisco, did you know that there was a TV show called 21 Jump Street?
No, I just knew about the movie.
Exactly. No, I would guarantee.
I kept my mouth shut here.
There's no one under 35 that knew that there was a TV show named 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, news to me the other day.
The only one I know is Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen. That's what happens.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Hey, it's all about honesty.
We talk it out.
Yep, we talk it out and make up hypotheticals and all that good stuff.